Hi everyone, welcome back to Kids Church. It's so good to have you back again. And if you're new, a very special welcome to you too. We're so blessed to be able to worship God together as a church, even though we can't go anywhere. Well, today we're continuing our stories on patience. Now, 3 weeks ago, you might recall we talked about a lady called Hannah. She was incredibly patient, waiting for God to bless her with a son. Then, 2 weeks ago, was Easter, and we talked about God's amazing patience, setting up a plan for our salvation over thousands of years. Then, can anyone remember what we talked about last week? That's right, it wasn't really a story so much as a single verse. We played a game called Don't Be That Guy, as we talked about how to keep our cool even when we have to wait. Well, today, we go back to another story. You may have noticed a bit of a road trip theme in some of the graphics we've been using. Well, today's story is about one of the longest road trips in history. We're talking about the Israelites in the desert. See, God had rescued them from slavery in Egypt. Now, that event was so incredibly epic, you'd think they would never complain about anything ever again. But as God took them on their road trip to the Promised Land, they unfortunately forgot to pack their patience. Yep, it was Moses. God led Moses and the rest of his people into the desert. He provided food and water for them along the way. They got to a rest stop at the base of Mount Sinai, and Moses went up the mountain to hear from God. God gave Moses a message for the people. He said that he had rescued them from Egypt, and he wanted them to obey and follow him. Moses came down to relay God's message to the people, and they said, "We will do everything the Lord has told us to do." Now, that sounds like a good choice to me. Moses and his helper Joshua went back up the mountain, and God spoke to Moses in a cloud. Now, God gave Moses lots of laws for the people, laws that were designed to keep them safe and to teach them how to live. And that took a while. For 40 days and 40 nights, God talked to Moses on the mountain. That's longer than a month. Now, do you think the people waited patiently? Not so much. They hadn't planned on this little detour on their road trip. They got restless. They knew God was leading them somewhere. They just wanted to get there already. The people gathered around Aaron, who was Moses' brother. They told him, "We don't know what's going on up there with Moses. Make us a statue of a god, and then we'll follow that instead." Apparently, they wanted to have something they could worship, because it was just taking too long to wait for Moses. Keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago that they'd said, "We will do everything the Lord has told us to do," but they forgot. And Aaron went along with it. He asked them to bring their gold earrings, and he formed the gold into a statue that looked like a calf, a baby cow. The people said, "Cool, here's our God that rescued us from Egypt," which doesn't even make any sense. I guess you can do some strange things when you lose your patience. If that wasn't crazy enough, the people even made sacrifices to this false god and danced around in front of it. Yikes! Yeah, it was not good. God told Moses, "They have quickly turned away from what I commanded them." God had seen the awful things the people had done, and he said he had no choice but to destroy them. But that's when Moses stepped in. He reminded God of the promise God had made to Abraham long ago. "I will make your children after you as many as the stars in the sky." God remembered his promise, and he had mercy on the people like Moses had asked. And then Moses went back down the mountain towards the camp. He was carrying 2 stone tablets with God's laws written on them. Moses and Joshua could see the people were dancing and worshipping the golden calf. Moses was so angry that he threw down the tablets and broke them. He burned the calf in the fire, ground it up into powder, scattered it over the water, and made the people drink it. Ew! Yuck! Moses asked Aaron how he could have let this happen, which was a very good question, and Aaron tried to make excuses. He said, "It wasn't my fault. The people made me do it. They said they wanted a god they could see to follow. They gave me their gold, I threw it in the fire, and poof! Magically out popped this calf." Aaron tried to get himself out of trouble, but the truth is he and all the people had sinned. They really messed up. Moses told them he would go up to God and ask him to forgive them. Wow, that road trip was an absolute train wreck, and all because the people couldn't wait. They chose to follow something obviously wrong because they forgot what was true. All they had to do was remember what God had done for them so far and trust Him while they waited to see how His plan would unfold. But they got impatient. We need to learn from their mistake. We need to trust God no matter what, even when we have to wait for something we want right now. God, please help us to learn from what happened with Moses and the Israelites. We don't want to forget about you like the Israelites did. Help us to trust you, even if we have to wait for something we really, really want. We know you love us. We know you have a good plan for our lives. Help us to remember those things that are true instead of getting impatient. We love you. Amen.